Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Michelle Castleberry, and I'm a co-founder here at PCS.ai. I originally gave this presentation a couple weeks ago. However, the recording was not up to par, so here I am re-recording it to ensure that everyone who wanted to see this webinar presentation could, and that it was worth watching. So this webinar was designed to do something a little different from what typically happens at conference booths. Those conversations are great. We love those conversations, but they're often short or they're interrupted, and typically there's never enough time to go deep. So I thought we'd do a webinar post-conference to talk a little bit more maybe about those deeper things. So for those of you who stopped by our booth at NONPF, welcome back. For those who couldn't make it to the conference, I'm very glad you're here now. The theme of this year's conference was From Vision to Impact in NP Education. And I thought that framing was particularly apt for what we do. I think it's easy to have a vision for more flexible learning, better assessment, scalable clinical reasoning practice. I think the harder question is, how do you actually get there? What does impact look like in practice? And so that's the conversation that I'm going to have today. To kick us off, I wanted to step back and quickly reflect on what, in my experience, is driving NP programs to more actively explore virtual patients. So maybe you'll find yourself nodding along. Maybe you're living some of these now. And so I think we see a lot of growing pressures in NP education, demand for flexible and remote learning. Of course, NP learners are often working and going to school full time. Increased emphasis on communication and clinical reasoning, faculty bandwidth limitations, standardized patient scheduling constraints, clinical placement shortages, the need for scalable assessment, because of course NP class sizes, NP programs are getting bigger and bigger. And at the same time, AI has arrived, and AI has arrived fast. I think we're in the middle of a bit of an AI gold rush across healthcare education. Nearly every platform you're encountering, I think, is adding some form of AI capability, whether that's conversational patients, debrief engines, scoring automation, authoring tools. I think it's really exciting, but also a lot to sort through. I think there's also maybe from the top institutional or administrative pressure to adopt AI, to find use for it, to be seen as keeping pace, which is its own kind of challenge when you're also trying to just simultaneously evaluate whether the AI meets educational objectives and if it's actually worth your students' time. So it's an exciting moment. I recognize it's also a complicated one as well. And so that brings us to the challenge that there are suddenly a lot of virtual patient platforms out there. How do you evaluate a crowded market in a rapidly evolving AI landscape? How do you tell the difference between something that's built to last and something that's just riding the hype? So I'm going to give you 3 concrete strategies for doing exactly that. And then we'll put PCS.ai under the same lens. I'm going to walk you through 3 features our NP users, our NP faculty use the most: scenario authoring, experiencing the simulation as a learner, and reviewing the assessment output. So let's get into it. When you're looking at virtual patient platforms, I want to offer you the first of 3 evaluation strategies. This one I creatively named Strategy A. It's applying traditional SP standards to virtual patients, essentially. I think most of you know exactly what it takes to hire and train a good standardized patient. You know you have to look for someone who can stay in role, who doesn't break character when a learner asks something unexpected. You want standardized delivery, consistent portrayal across every learner interaction. You want someone who handles curveballs gracefully, who brings emotional authenticity to the encounter. You want someone who could potentially escalate the scenario appropriately and who has genuinely memorize and know the details of the scenario or the case. And those criteria didn't just come from nowhere, right? They were developed because simulation has to be reliable to be educationally valid. If one learner gets a distracted, inconsistent SP and another learner gets a focused, well-prepared one, you're not measuring learner competency anymore, you're measuring SP performance. And so I think we can apply that same logic to virtual patients. When you're evaluating a virtual patient platform, ask, does the system stay in role? Or does it default to its, kind of assistant mode? Politely explaining that it's an AI offering to help the learner in a way the real patient or standardized patient never would. Does it deliver consistent, standardized experience? Does it hallucinate within within parameters? Does the clinical presentation remain stable? Does it have a clinical presentation? Can it manage unexpected learner questions without breaking the simulation? I don't think these are just nice to haves. I think this is the baseline for virtual patients. And so I think the good news is that a well-architected virtual patient can actually exceed in some capacity what a human SP can reliably deliver, particularly around perfect recall of case details and infinite availability without scheduling constraint. Strategy B, this will give you more of a framework for distinguishing simulation versus conversation. This is important because AI has become even more and more capable. So a lot of products have emerged that are essentially conversational. They're engaging, they're interactive, but they don't actually create the conditions for learning through simulation. These conversational agents are meant to be more customer service representative or concierge types of roles. Authentic simulation, I think, has three core elements. So when I'm evaluating any virtual patient tool, I should use maybe these lenses. The first of which is autonomy. Learners should be making real choices. They should be determining what to ask, what to assess, what to prioritize, what to do next. If the platform is guiding them through it step by step, it's more of a tutorial. It's not necessarily a simulation. The second is consequence. The patient's behavior, the clinical trajectory. These should change based on what the learner does and doesn't do. So a learner who misses a critical question should experience a slightly different encounter than the one who maybe catches it. So without consequence, there are no stakes. And without stakes, there's no valuable learning pressure. The third is cognitive load. Authentic clinical practice requires learners to synthesize information from multiple sources simultaneously, communicate under pressure, manage those competing priorities. A simulation that removes the load isn't preparing learners for what they're going to face. This framework may help you quickly distinguish between a platform that's genuinely built for simulation and one that's just maybe a sophisticated chatbot with maybe a clinical code on. The third strategy, I think is an important one as well. I think sometimes it gets overlooked, in platform evaluations. I think you're not just buying a product, you're choosing a partner. So the question may be less, what does this platform do today, especially when it's software, because we know software changes, there are software updates, software can enhance over time. So the question might be, when evaluating software platforms, who is building this and where is it going? How influential are its users on its roadmap? And there's a meaningful distinction in the market right now between platforms that have bolted on AI to an existing system and platforms that were built from first principles with AI as the foundation. And what I mean by bolt-on AIs is kind of like plug-in integrations. You're integrating third parties. You've got kind of a third-party LLM dependency. It's a legacy system with an AI wrapper and a product roadmap that's largely dictated by external vendors. It can work, but sometimes it can be brittle or it's limited. It essentially means that your platform's intelligence is rented or leased. Whereas AI first architecture means the opposite. It's built from first principles, from simulation specific training data. It's got an in-house technical competency. It has more of a controlled architecture. And I'll be direct and honest with you about where PCS.ai stands on that. I asked my co-founder and CEO, Balaj Moldavani, I was like, how do you describe PCS AI in one sentence? And his answer was, PCS.ai is the AI company of healthcare simulation. He wasn't pitching, he was just stating the strategy that we've been executing for over a decade now. Our technical competency is in-house. Our architecture is purpose-built specifically for simulation in healthcare. Our models are shaped, they're not owned, they are owned, they're not rented or leased. Our infrastructure isn't assembled. We architect our own infrastructure. So many companies are using AI. We are building AI. And I think that distinction will matter more and more as the space matures. Some companies will remain, others will not. I also want to move to and share next what kind of real-world adoption actually looks like with NP programs. One of the one of PCS's largest NP programs, is a fully online program. They've embraced the VR headsets almost entirely, though there is a subset of students who do use the screen-based patient instead. Typically, this is due to an accommodation or accessibility need. But I think that that's worth noting as well. The platform, our platform supports both. So if you want if you want to offer VR headsets or you want to offer just the screen-based, you're able to do so. This program has been with us for 3 years now. They have completed nearly 150,000 simulations. They've logged almost 90,000 hours of total time in simulation, and their learners have asked close to 9.8 million questions. They use PCS Spark across 3 courses: acute care, mental health, and primary care. And they run both multiple attempt practice assignments and a final single attempt simulation to close out the semester. So basically, during a semester, they're offering their students access anytime to a bunch of patients. They can, again, practice as many times as they want. And then at the very end, they'll do kind of a final assessment that's a single attempt. They use a combination of our bundled patients as well as their own custom-built patients. And that's something I think worth highlighting as well. You don't have to start from scratch. You can use some of our bundled patients, like this program has, where they keep the core scenario content, but then they customize the resource sets or the materials that support the simulation, like post-simulation quizzes. They do this, they customize those elements because they want the scenario, the experience to match their specific program needs. But what I'm most proud about isn't just the scale of deployment or the user customization. It's really the partnership this program has helped us build. At their request and in close collaboration with them, we've developed several complex procedure simulation: central line, ET intubation, arterial line, paracentesis, thoracentesis. They've also helped shape our pregnancy avatars. They're about to launch a women's health module for their learners, and so we're actively building those scenarios together. And so that's what I mean when I say, roadmaps that are dictated by end users, not externally. So when users invest with us, when they invest with PCS.ai, we invest in our users. We feel strongly it's a partnership, it's a collaboration. Again, our niche is simulation in healthcare. We're both in the same space. So with that said, I hope those 3 strategies kind of help you better evaluate or approach the market of virtual patients and or virtual simulations. So with that said, let's log in. Okay, so I have logged in as a learner. So let's take a look at what the learner will see and experience. I'm immediately brought to my homepage, which is the assignments tab. I see that I have 3 assignments available to me. I'm going to go ahead and participate in the NP primary care course. I see the patient's name and I see a little bit about the patient. I can click show more and see maybe a few more sentences about what the patient or what the simulation may include. And when I click start, the patient is then going to load. I see some initial on-screen instructions, some getting started little tidbits about navigating the platform. I'm going to click OK. I see the door notes on my left-hand side. Angie Retner, 7, has arrived with her parents to the clinic. Her stepmother is with her during the interview. So this is all customizable. Anything you see here on the left-hand side, it could be door notes, patient information, anything that you want the learner to see during the encounter would be displayed. At the very bottom of the screen, I can also click on vitals and see her vital signs. This is a feature, again, you can turn on and off depending on the simulation. Oftentimes we see vital signs on maybe inpatient simulations versus kind of this outpatient scenario. I see my sim log. This is going to transcribe every question I ask, everything that the patient says. It's going to record anything that I do or transcribe anything that I do in the physical inspections or physical exam items, anything that I do in terms of diagnose and treat. And if, let's say I have team members join. So diagnose and treat, I can order diagnostics, maybe some imaging if I want. I can also set different diagnoses. I can reorder them if I need to. Because again, this simulation log, faculty members can go in and take a look and see what I've done during the course of the simulation. I can administer different treatments. And I can also round out the documentation with next steps. So this could be things that I've ordered for the patient to do after the encounter. Finally, team space. Team space is are kind of a multiplayer mode. So if you have pairs or small groups of students that you'd like to interact during a single simulation, they can be added here, and they can all participate. And of course, they would all show and be indicated here in the simulation log. Lastly is hints and tips. This is something that, again, customizable. In this instance, it's more about working the VR headset. However, you can put in whatever you want here. So typically we see first and second year students or first semester students, second semester students, those that are more maybe novice. This could be more guidance that you provide them. Typically we see for intermediate and more advanced students, there's less guidance in the hints and tips because, of course, they're further along in their educational journey. So let's close this and ask Angie a few questions. You can see I can move the screen around. Hi, Angie. My name is Michelle Castleberry, and I'm going to be your nurse practitioner today. How are you?
I'm angry, angry, angry. Everyone says I'm angry, but I can't help it.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit more about feeling angry?
I feel angry because my mom left us. She didn't even say goodbye. It's not fair.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, it's when I guess when parents leave, it is kind of it's sad and it's disruptive. Who's this sitting with you?
This is my stepmom, Janice. She came with me today.
Okay, hi Janice, how are you?
I'm doing okay. Thank you.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit more, Angie, about feeling angry? How long have you been feeling angry?
I don't know. It's just that I'm angry all the time. It's been a while now.
Okay. Are you having any other feelings?
I don't think so. I'm just angry.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you to get up on the exam table and I'm going to take a listen to your heart, okay?
Okay. But can we talk about something else?
Sure. Tell me, how old are you?
I'm 7 years old. I'll be 8 soon.
And what grade are you in?
I don't know. I just want to play with my friends.
You don't know what grade you're in?
I'm in the 2nd grade.
Ah, okay. And do you have a lot of friends in school?
Nobody really likes me. They say they do, but they don't.
Okay. What makes you think that they don't like you?
They make fun of me and they don't let me play with them.
Okay. And do you like going to school?
School is boring. I hate it.
Okay. Do you not have one subject that you like?
I like soccer, but the other kids say I don't fit in.
Okay, well, that's a lot to unpack there. So I'm gonna pause or take
I know, right? It's all so unfair.
Oh, she still heard me before I clicked off my microphone. So as you can see, I can conduct a physical exam. I can talk to the patient. With these psychosocial scenarios, they are tough. But of course, the bundled patients in all the scenarios, they have varying degrees of kind of difficulty. So that's a little bit of a tour of the kind of in-patient or in-simulation experience with the patient. I'm going to go ahead and end the simulation. I'm going to click end. And then I'm brought to an end of simulation quiz. Again, totally customizable. This can be, multiple choice questions. This could be open text boxes, anything that you want to have your learners do post simulation before they get to the debrief screen. Here in the debrief content, again, something totally customizable, whatever you'd like to put in here. Here are some key debrief items for this particular scenario, questions we want the learners to think about as they reflect on their encounter. I also have some clinical scenario summaries for pediatric ADHD in a complex psychosocial context. Key takeaways, communication, collaboration, practice roles. Again, whatever you want your learners to think about post the simulation activity. Then I get brought down to my assessment. So this is the quantitative and qualitative assessment components of this scenario. This checklist here that you see, all something that can be created, customized by the end user, by you. I see what I received points for and what I didn't get points for. If I strongly feel as a learner that, yes, I did ask the patient about their allergies, I can click on this review request button. And then the burden of proof lies on me. I've got to go through the transcription, my transcription, and say, hey, here's where I asked this, or here's, here's the evidence to support that I deserve this credit. So I submit that, and that's going to go, of course, to the faculty member that's responsible for the assignment for them to review. And it's going to pop up on their screen and take them to that encounter. So we're trying to, again, make faculty time, quality over quantity type thing. It immediately takes them to where they need to go. Then as I scroll down, I see some communication feedback. This is the qualitative feedback, and something you can customize. If there are scenarios that you want to reinforce specific communication items, you can put those into the scenario. And we're about to go there next, because it's one of the other features that a lot of our NP faculty, our big NP users, do. They go in, they look at a scenario, and then they customize the surrounding elements to ensure that they meet learning objectives of the simulation. So I'm going to, as a learner, then go back one more time. I'm presented with the archive so I can see all my previous simulations. And then if I wanted to, I can go back and do the whole thing all over again. I'm allowed to practice as many times, multiple attempts, at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, at 8 o'clock at night, at 2 in the morning. This is one of the benefits, of course, of kind of this screen-based learning. So with that, let's move on to the next thing, which is patient authoring or patient customization, scenario customization. All right, so I've logged in as an administrator. I've logged in as myself. As you can see at the top, I've got a few more tabs. The tab we're going to be focused on right now is the Patients tab. This is where I author all my scenarios. And so the scenario that we're going to author today is Angie Retner, the one that we're familiar with. So I'm going to go ahead and open that scenario. I'm taken immediately to kind of an easy mode programming screen. As you can see, I've got my basics. This is where I selected my avatar and voice. There are multiple options that you can choose from, as well as multiple environments to choose from as well. I also see I can make modifications to age and weight here. But I'm going to focus primarily on this patient concept tab, as well as the assessment tab. At the very top, you can see here I've got some different resource sets, and we're going to focus primarily on the primary care resource set. So I'm going to click on patient concept. And here I have about 15 boxes. And this is where I'm going to build my patient out. Again, this is where a lot of our NP authors go to make modifications to their patient. So this is the instructions I'm giving the AI to build responses around. What I tell most of our end users is this is a place to put all your clinically relevant information. So, we talked about how important standardization is amongst serious patient encounters as well as virtual patient encounters. This is where we standardize the AI's response. So things that you can see, for example, in quotes rather, are the things I want the patient to say verbatim, word for word. Again, I want to provide a standardized experience to my learners, yet build in some variability in other places that is going to be a more dynamic experience for them. So here I've got my opening and reason for visit, main concerns, associated symptoms, allergies, medication list, diagnosis or chronic illnesses, medical history, family history, relationship status and health history, personal and social history, substance abuse or substance use and history, lifestyle, emotional state and personality, conversational attitude, speech file, and finally special patient info. Any tests or procedures that have been performed that the patient may not initially know, or any additional information that's not specified in other areas of the patient concept. That's kind of this box here. So what you essentially would need to do is put in clinically relevant information that you want your patient and patient advocate in this instance to kind of stick to. We have a couple of cool features on this patient concept page, one of which is this AI button. You can click on that to enhance the patient concept with AI. So for example, if you're writing your very own from scratch and you're putting it in and you say, I hope I'm doing this right, you can click on this button, hit generate suggestions, and it's going to help you further enhance your scenario. So that's kind of a cool feature that was out a couple months ago. And then finally, one that I really like is also this kind of this built-in tester. So I can ask the questions here, like, do you have any allergies? And it's going to respond as the patient. So this is a way to test your patient without having to maybe log in as a learner or run the simulation yourself and go through it. You can just kind of chat. And that way, if you say, oh, I don't know, and which may make sense for a 7-year-old, but if you wanted to maybe specify maybe another, like, okay, we'll do this. What sports do you play? Okay, she likes soccer and softball, but I don't like soccer. Okay, sometimes kids can give us some interesting answers. But if we find soccer here, she likes sports. Soccer is her favorite, though. If we wanted to change instead of soccer to maybe field hockey, and we'll change it here as well. Then we can, maybe refresh the response. I like field hockey and softball. So this is a way that we can test our patient in real time. So that's a really helpful feature to go through, especially when you want to find out if the information you are typing is clinically relevant. Let's see. Do you have any pets? Smokey is my pet, a nice cat who cuddles. And so let's see. Okay, so in this instance, that the author did want to make that, kind of consistent or standardized information. So that's good. That's good to know, and that's good to test. So this patient concept, again, we've got some really cool features to help you make your scenario as strong as possible, as standardized as possible, and yeah, we certainly at PCS.ai, we have a team that is also very supportive and can help if you're unsure of what to do and what to write in these relevant boxes. There's always more information in these on the screen as well to help you, to guide you kind of in that process. You can also cut and paste into these sections as well. I've certainly done that before, where I've taken a scenario, cut and pasted, put it into these several boxes, into the boxes, of course, that they are relevant information, and then I click that AI generate suggestions, and that'll help me just keeping the scenario consistent. So that the AI can do its job. And so that's kind of the patient concepts and how easy that is. I'm also going to show you a little bit more about the assessment. So I mentioned during the demo that you can customize the checklists, both the qualitative and the quantitative. So here, of course, we see the quantitative. If we wanted to, maybe remove items or change point values and kind of weight different things depending on the learning objectives, we can do that, of course, here. And then at the very bottom, I mentioned that you can modify the communication feedback. And so this is the direction that you're giving the AI to evaluate the learner on, say, communication skills. And you can make those changes in these boxes. One last thing I'm going to show you on this particular page is in the advanced mode. So if you click on advanced mode, then you're going to go into sharing. And this is where you would maybe put a colleague's information that you want to share this scenario with, so that they can go in and make changes, or, view all the different resources and the things that they maybe they have, like maybe they're going to be uploading all the physical exam findings that you can put in there. So that's I like that sharing tab, because of course it enlists other members and colleagues to contribute to the scenario. Okay, so that is pretty much, let's go back to easy mode. That's pretty much the patient concept. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. There's no text limits to what you can put in each. The less information, the more the AI is going to generate the responses. So for example, if that information about Smokey the cat was not in, we could remove this, and let's say we remove Smokey and we say something like, what's your cat's name? Mittens. So it's going to generate something within the realm of reasonable possibilities. So it's not going to, say, what's your cat's name? It's not, may not say King George III. It's going to try to, function within the realm of, what's reasonable, what's believable for this patient. So that's a little bit about the patient concept and what our NP faculty really, our current NP users, how they've developed these cases, this particular content. So patient concept, assessment, and then of course some of the other things we saw in the demo itself were these additional kind of hints and tips, patient file, indicating what we want as quiz items. If we want the learners to complete maybe a patient note, I think we've got a patient note in the primary care section. So if we want them to complete a SOAP note, that would be there. We can have them make a call. So for example, we can use AI in this component as well if the MP needs to call another care provider and they have a conversation as well. So there's lots to do in the resource set. You can do as much or as little as is needed per the simulation objectives. And that'll do it for us today. Thank you for tuning in and being part of the conversation. You can always visit us at www.pcs.ai. You can email us at sales@pcs.ai or info@pcs.ai if you're not sure where to start the conversation. So we'll see you next time. Thank you again.